Hello and welcome, Scriptcase enthusiasts, to another macro day here at Scriptcase by Jamie. And today, well, we have a very special macro for you, and that is for sure because it is one of those which you are wanting to use in just about every single project. Or maybe not. That is all depending, of course. Now, this versatile macro in sending emails via the SC Send Mail API macro. And of course, that uses the inbuilt APIs available within Scriptcase. And we have Mandrill, Amazon SES, or the traditional SMTP protocols available. Now, let's see how you can integrate this functionality to enhance the communication of your project. Okay, so today we are looking at the SC Send Mail API macro. So that is SC underscore send underscore mail underscore API. And then we have our brackets, and then we close that off. And within those brackets, we can include an array of settings. And that array of settings is as a variable containing an array of data, lots of data, because we have lots of settings depending on the API you are going to use. Now, there is a very basic syntax for that, as you see on your screen now, and the parameters are then held within the array settings, as I've just said, and those are very important. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the basic setup for the API to begin with. So in our tool menu at the top here, we have the option here, API. And if I click on that, it will open up here the API configurations. Now, all of the APIs that are available within Scriptcase are all configured here. So if there is an update to an API, then that API will be updated within Scriptcase. And at the same time, the same settings that are available to that API are also available within the API you configure here within Scriptcase. So when you formulate your array, you can half the time include extra options, such as the BCC, or maybe an attachment or other, but we'll check that out in a short moment. So here, for instance, I could choose SMTP. And there I would then define the gateway, which is SMTP. That's what we've just chosen. That is our API that we are going to use. We want to send emails, and that is important. And of course, if we change that to Mandrill or Amazon SES, the settings below that will change. Now, the mode we have here will define where we store these API settings, who can access it when you work on your project, if it's available to the project you're using on a per user basis, or public and available to everyone. We always need to define a name here, and for that, for instance, I can place in here SMTP test, and there we have a name for that. I will leave the mode, set the gateway to whatever we want it to be, SMTP, Amazon, Mandrill, and then we can add our email settings for that configuration. Now, it's important here that we add then the port, the protocol, we must define that then also, the SMTP user password from email address as well as from name. And then with our settings then saved, we can just simply click on the save button. Now, of course, it will ask you to complete all of the fields. In this case, I'm going to just leave them as blank and close that for now. Once your API has been configured within the environment, you don't need to include the settings array because that is already defined for the API you're going to use. So if you have here the API enabled, so if I come here to public, for instance, we have a lot of APIs here available. And when I set the API available, it will automatically take those settings and send the message as we have it configured. So we have a few ways of actually setting up and using this macro, which makes it pretty powerful. Now, with the macro enabled, and there we have here a checkbox, and you may notice that the green here, it does highlight, and then with it highlighted, it is then available within the project that you are using. And then within your project, all you need to do then is specify here the SC Send Mail API. Now, if I scroll down here, I already have an example here of a simple SMTP mail sending using a custom configuration. So in this case, we are specifying the settings here within our array, or within our var config, should I say, because that is our variable where we are configuring our Send Mail API. So we don't even need to add the full API or use that specific API. We can configure any type of API setup when we are developing our code, our project, our application. And then we can customize the settings in a different scenario if we need to. Otherwise, we can very simply remove the settings and use the default settings that are available for this macro. Now, when you come here to your subject and so forth, remember, of course, that this is an email. So you can also adjust here the subject, or leaving the subject actually. We want to here copy the to, and then maybe replace that with a BCC. And we can customize that further by adding an attachment. And then further down here, we also then have the Mandrill API. And that is how we would set that up, again, with custom settings for the gateway API from email and from name. Do notice that these are the same options that we have here when we configure, for instance, the Mandrill API. This is the API configured within the environment, ready for your project. And then here within our application, we've actually customized those settings for this specific email sending. It's not like we need to set it up every single time, as well as have it set up within the back end of the project. Now that would just really make no sense. Okay, so I think you understand that, and if not, you can always ask me some questions within the comment section, right? So this does, of course, have a lot of practical uses, and you can use it within your applications that interact maybe with other users via email, or for your user registration, confirmations, passwords, resets, or maybe you want to check out one of the other available options, because there are so many email options or senders providers available today, and any of those you can actually integrate even without the SC Send Mail API macro. Okay, now this is a very powerful macro, and it does make email sending much easier. And well, that's how you use it, really. Now, of course, you can use it for your notifications, alerts, and just about anything else. So there's really no limit to that for any type of user interaction or, well, critical communication. And that is, of course, needed for your business. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more Scriptcase tutorials, and maybe drop us a comment and let me know how and where you have used this macro, any issues you've had, or maybe other APIs that you would like to have integrated, because there's always room for more, right? Stay tuned for more insights here at Scriptcase by Jamie, and I'm sure I'll be catching you in next week's video, which is very similar to this one. And of course, as per usual, I will catch you in the next macro video. Thanks for watching, and until the next time.